Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Church Mouse Chronicles. And so, uh, the two of us did not have a good week, not at all. Um, it involved people who were either close to us or that we knew, and who were impacted in different ways, for better or worse, by COVID-19. And do you remember that wonderful time, like a couple of months ago, when we said enough talk of Corona, let's talk about other stuff. We talked enough about, but no, we did not talk about enough about Corona because it has returned like some horror movie monster. That simply you think you killed it, even though we never really thought that we killed it, and then its rotting arm erupts from its grave, and there's like the end with a question mark. Today is
Yeah,
that
when
question mark episode. Yeah. So,
so
and
the previous time it was just the first wave. We didn't really know how the second wave is going to look like.
well, we've had the first wave, and now the second tsunami. And we're the tourists at the bank that are like, wow, where did the sea go? We're those tourists. uh, and do the honors, and you have the floor for the next 2 hours, because I have a hunch that you have a thing or two to say.
Yeah, I'll start by saying to everybody who thinks that the coronavirus doesn't exist, think again. To everybody, to everybody who thinks that the coronavirus isn't dangerous, you're right, it isn't. But yeah,
Finish your, and I'll jump in.
yeah. But to all of you who think because the virus is not dangerous, you get to ignore it, don't. Because the disease that the virus causes is a treatable disease, just like what you will get when you get infected by the seasonal flu or something. But the question is, what happens when there's nobody left to treat you when you can't treat yourself? When you get a cold, uh, you cough a little bit, and you feel muscle ache and whatnot. Sometimes you get high fever, and you go through it in a couple of days, and that's it, like, right? Wow. But you must have heard that, in the past, God knows how many years, that people get pneumonia. People die from pneumonia. Sometimes your body just can't fight. Sometimes it can't fight on its own, and then you get hospitalized, then you get help. But the problem is, what happens when there's nobody left to treat you, and there's no room in hospitals. I'm about to give you a firsthand testimony of how that looks like. Second wave of Corona, Serbia.
Before you start,
Yeah, go ahead.
because you mentioned COVID deniers, um, yesterday I shared a photo of a priest in that suit, you know, that hazard suit, basically.
Yeah,
And he was wearing an epitrachilion, the stole, over that suit. And he might have been a priest because he wore that necklace that looked like panagia, which is something Orthodox bishops wear. But it might have been,
a
necklace with
phylactery.
the holy gifts. What?
A phylactery.
Phylactery. So anyway, I
It's
posted that
so
image
good
because,
to laugh.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
so good to laugh.
So I shared that image because I thought it was powerful. If it was an Orthodox priest astronaut, I would share it. It's interesting to combine vestments with different uniforms as the situation calls for it.
Yeah.
And some guy commented on it, like something along the lines, like, "Is this photo even real?" And I said, "Well, it seems to be. It's shared by an official diocesan Instagram page of that and that diocese." And then this guy comments, regarding my profile, somebody who has a name, a last name, and everything. This seems to be another shill Orthodox account whose sole purpose is to legitimize COVID. To you, sir. And the door. Okay, no. Listen. I know people who have died of this. I had this. I've infected 5 people. Thank God, none of whom so far have any lasting consequences. 5 bishops of the Serbian Orthodox Church died of this. I don't know how many nuns are sick from this, and I have no idea how many priests. By that I mean I have absolutely no data. I don't know.
And
I only know
you need more proof.
Yes, like this isn't the flu, and you don't get pneumonia during summer heats. So to you, sir, sorry, I apologize. I'm the go.
It's just like I'm thinking how much effort it's gonna be to.
No, don't censor it. Don't censor it. Don't censor it.
I shall. Now, so about 20 days ago, I think, my father got a surgery. It was a common prostate surgery. All of us men eventually have issues with the prostate. That's like, if our bodies were like eternal, the prostate would kill us anyways. So he had this surgery, right? And he was lying in the hospital for maybe 2-3 days, I don't know. And he gets high fever. And they release him from the hospital for home treatment. 7 days later, he still has high fever. No other symptoms or anything. He still has high fever. The hospital where he had the surgery is the biggest and meanest hospital in the entirety of Serbia, the Military Medical Academy.
Mm-hmm.
The Military Medical Academy is a so-called non-COVID hospital, meaning, because of the air circulation system that is completely inside. So it's an inner
system. Can't vent the room. You can't vent the room.
It doesn't. You don't open up the window. Like the entire ventilation is like connected. Everything's connected. Like on a cruise ship. It's very bad. But it's the best hospital. But it's still, this particular part is very bad. Now, because of that, he wasn't able. They wouldn't accept him to remove the catheter that he was given. That was placed after the surgery because he has high fever. Now, the fact he has high fever has been a super huge challenge for us to get him admitted to anything other than a COVID, other than a hospital or something that's in the COVID system. But since the only symptom that he had was just high fever, it just all very much pointed towards a urinary tract infection, which, like, literally everything that he was experiencing was like 100% textbook urinary tract infection. His urologist gave him an antibiotic that he was taking, and after about 7 days of the fever not ending, he goes to the general practice doctor, and she doesn't change the therapy. She just doubles the dosage of the antibiotic. That's about it. He keeps
just rub flour onto it, and
he keeps taking the antibiotic, but no results. Fever still there.
Wait. Because I'm a doctor as well. Don't antibiotics compromise your immunity as well?
No. Antibiotics target specific or groups of bacteria.
No. I know that, but isn't it one of the dangers with antibiotics? But besides, in general, increasing the resistance of antibiotics of bacteria to antibiotics, is that they
Yes.
lower your general immunity. It is something
Honestly,
I have heard recently. I don't
honestly,
know.
I wouldn't be able to answer that with complete certainty because I'm not a medical professional. But what I can tell you that antibiotics are a standard therapy even for people infected with viruses, because when the
Yeah.
virus enters the body, it weakens your cells and makes your organs more susceptible to bacteria
Mhm.
infections. So I wouldn't necessarily come to that conclusion based on what I know, but still.
Okay. I'm trying to Google
So
information.
yeah. So what we do is we take our father to a COVID ambulance, and he gets tested, and he gets his lungs,
Scanned.
x-rayed.
Uh-huh.
Lungs are clean. The test is negative. Fever is still there. They say go to an infectologist. Okay. Now, mind you, this is the moment where we are going to private practice 100%, because like everything, you can't do this anywhere else. Like it is what it is. So we're going to private practice, and private practice in Serbia is very specific. It's like the same doctors that treat patients in public hospitals do that in private healthcare as well, but it's just that things kind of work there. You can actually, when you have an appointment, you actually more or less get your examination on time, and there's no like queues or whatever that you would expect in a public.
And they have proper machines, proper tools,
Of
proper
course,
medicine. They have everything that you would assume that a proper hospital has, but sadly often doesn't.
and costs a lot of money, of course. For people from Serbia, definitely costs a lot of money. But still, we go to an infectologist. We end up with literally like top-notch infectologist. She literally wrote the book that's called like Atlas of Infective Diseases, like literally. She's like a professor. She, as far as I can conclude retroactively, she still thinks it's a urinary tract infection, and she prescribes him another antibiotic.
More flour.
Yeah, and basically sets a control examination 3 days later. As you know, antibiotics take up to 72 hours to actually go into effect, and we're talking about the antibiotics that are taken orally, which is this. We put him on this new antibiotic. No changes. In the meantime, he started coughing a little bit. And the infectologist, while she was giving him the examination, she said she hears a little bit of bronchitis, like a small one. So that was kind of okay, like he might have picked it up. In the meantime, also, we got information that his roommate was diagnosed with COVID. Then a bit later, we get information that the doctor who operated on him has double, both side pneumonia, COVID, hospitalized.
Just a little backdrop for the audience. While all of this is happening, the number of infected people in Serbia is skyrocketing. And I know like sharp rise, and I know that a lot of people doubt the numbers, and that is fine. There is always some winging of the numbers, and at least in Serbia, for the majority of part, they were definitely made lower, not higher, as people generally assume to be done with the numbers.
In the first wave, yes, they were making them. They were hiding the real state of things.
but my mother had a great comment. You know that the numbers are rising because you know at least one person who's sick, and now I know a lot
A
of them.
lot. Now,
Yeah.
literally, you can't look at a certain group of people, or a certain reason for knowing people and not finding one representative from that group who is not sick, or they're somebody from their family or something.
Yeah.
And so we did kind of suspect that he got the virus, but still, the test was negative. What we didn't know then maybe was that there's a lot of different tests, and some of them are complete and utter bullshit. Like this fast test that is taken from the
Serum
blood.
test, I think.
Sorry?
Serum test, I believe it's called in English.
Yeah, that's the one. Taken from the blood, vein blood. They are practically determining if you have antibodies, and there's like two types of antibodies. One which you have after you go through the virus, and the other one is the one that you get when you are currently fighting a virus. But it's crap. Nobody really recognizes it anywhere as like a good result. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Can I interject real quick?
Absolutely.
My coworker with whom I work in the office also got COVID, and he went to to get tested, and for like 3 days he was unsuccessful. They were throwing him to and fro, bureaucracy, this and that, who sent you here, who sent you there, and so on and so forth. Finally, he gets tested, and this was like the work of Sisyphus. It was so difficult. Finally, he gets tested, and he gets a negative result, even though he has all the symptoms. He's coughing, he's sneezing. He lost both smell and taste, as he told me. My smelling privileges were revoked, and he sends us an image of a serum test. And I'm like looking at that, and I'm like reminded of that scene from the Sleeping Beauty, like when Maleficent is like cursing those goblins, and like, where is she? I need to fulfill the curse, and like, but your dark majesty, we have searched far and wide, every castle, every church, every cottage, every cradle. And she's like, what did you say?
You were
Every
looking
cradle
for a baby?
for a baby. Do you hear that, my pet? For the past 16 years, they were looking for a baby. And then she starts zapping with lightning bolts, and I'm like, you were
Idiots,
sick. You,
imbeciles.
yeah, fools him, and like she loses, and it was like that scene, like, you definitely had COVID. You were standing in those lines, and they had the audacity to give you a serum test, which is like I don't know, 50% valid, you know.
Yeah.
And and they know for a fact that they're saving those good tests for more problematic cases. I have no idea where they get the numbers. I mean, for example, they would say that like they have tested like 10,000 or 20,000 people. Where, how, when? I don't know. I only know that
Yeah,
a lot of people I know are.
super inaccurate, super
Yeah.
unreliable tests, which at the point where we're looking for what the hell is going on, like what's causing this state. To us, it came like okay, it's not COVID. Let's focus on the urinary tract infection. In the meantime, we're trying to organize, for him to get infusion with vitamins, and we're trying to get all the blood analysis done in time, etc., etc. So I in the meantime, I got back from Chachak, which is the last time we recorded. I was there. I leave my
Mhm.
family there. I go back to Belgrade so that I can be there and actually drive my father to different examinations and help him and whatnot. That ended up consuming my entire week easily. So okay, we I'm communicating with a lot of people, medical professionals. We're trying to figure out what's going on, and all this time, we are the ones hustling the system to get something going on, because nobody's giving him what's the next step. Like, for example, when I give you therapy, I tell you what the next step is. When I tell you we need to remove your catheter, and for whatever reason you can't enter the hospital, you don't get told what to do. It's so all this time in this entire madness, we are the ones driving this, right? We're the ones pushing to treat my dad. So we focus on getting this catheter removed for him. We get him to a urologist, again in private practice. And by the way, at that point, he's already 10 days plus high fever. So he is having trouble with coherent thinking, speaking, super exhausted, using paracetamol for, getting the fever down literally every day, even though you should not use it more than 3 to 5 days, for example.
Laughs in a week of paracetamol.
Yeah. And, it's very hard. They're not letting you walk in with him because the rules are, and he can't speak. So we're constantly fighting the system. We're fighting the public healthcare system. We're fighting the private healthcare system. Every time we have to pick up the phone and schedule an appointment, every time we need to explain why he should be let in with a high fever. We removed the catheter. The doctor even gives him a third antibiotic, gets the infusion. He starts feeling better immediately. Wow. And we're like, oh, wow, this is going to work. We have a control examination set because he removed the catheter. And then right after that, we have this infectologist control examination, which is the ultimate thing, where we expected the infectologist to be like, yeah, you finally gave him the right antibiotic. We kicked this bacteria. And by the way, all this time, we're doing parallel analysis, trying to figure out which bacteria is the issue. We're getting his urine, analyzing the urine. We can't get the bacteria. We can't get it. All this time, we're doing the CRP test, which is like, this thing rises when you get when you have an infection. We're based on what we were told by the infectologist, we're getting him we're getting the blood analysis for iron, for coagulation, which is also important with COVID patients, etc. We're doing all this analysis. I'm picking up the lab technician, driving him home so that he can get my father's blood, driving him back to the laboratory. Like, we are hustling left and right all this time. This is a freaking full-time job already, like crazy. And my father is still not feeling well. Now, I drive him to the urologist for the control examination. Everything's fine. Catheter removed, everything's good. He still doesn't have fever after that. And then I drive him home, and then we go to the ultimate examination, and he starts shaking in the car while I'm driving him. Shaking. And my brother is waiting to pick him up and get him to the infectologist. Obviously, he gets high fever and it starts getting, super hard. He goes to the infectologist. They do another chest x-ray. And there's double-sided pneumonia. And she looks at the results and she's like, I'm sorry, he needs to be hospitalized. But I have no idea where or how. At that point, my good friend from church, actually, they've at that literal time, they were already waiting for around 8 hours in the clinic, next to the very close to the Saint Sava temple.
Yeah.
They were waiting outside in the cold for 8 hours to be admitted with COVID symptoms. Fortunately, she recommends another institution, and we go immediately. Now, mind you, this is the beginning of two of the worst days of my life ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Like all this time where we were trying to get this thing solved and get him treated, all I did, like, I just prayed, God, please, I just don't want us to go into the system, because I knew what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, I know how shitty of a country we are. I know how completely incapable our people are to organize things. I know how everything is super corrupt, and I know that people are getting sick, and there's a lot of people cramming in the hospitals. That much I knew, and I was just praying God not to go into all of that. And that's exactly where we went. We drew our father to it's a triage hospital, basically, for COVID patients. We go there, and it's a shit show. It's like crammed with people. You don't understand where to go, who to talk to, what to do. Nothing's clear. The ambulance vehicles are coming and going, getting patients, delivering patients. Everything's a complete mess. We enter inside, and we're trying to find somebody to like speak to get admitted, to leave some information with them, anything. We get our father to sit down. This is where it gets real, right? Because at that point, you're surrounded by elderly people. You're surrounded by sick people, people who can't stand. A guy on a mobile hospital bed goes by with oxygen being pumped into his nose. A lot of sick people. A lot of sick people. And zero organization. And then from time to time you get, somebody in a medical suit or something just go past you. We finally get somebody, to stop and be like, please, what do we do now? Like what do we do? And he's like, give me, his healthcare document. Let's call it like that. I can use it. And we give them that. We waited until he was accepted. 7 hours. We went there around 8:30, and we waited for 7 hours. During that time, I have witnessed, I can't really count, but I can surely witness to at least 20 to 50 different people who just appeared, high-fived the med technician or somebody and just went in. All of them with no symptoms, like people who just want to get tested and they have a connection.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people bullying their way in, screaming urgency. But the worst thing is when you see old people, sick people, and everything just waiting, and then you see like a young person walk in and be like, yo man, what's up, like high fives, and just goes in. Then the way you're treated, which is subhuman, it's subhuman being treatment. Nobody wants to answer anything. People, the medical staff are like, why are you in this hallway? Like, get away from there. Like, find somewhere else to sit and stuff like that. Like, don't come in here. And all of that, without giving people any sort of a process, any sort of a protocol that you need to follow. I will skip probably a load of things that happened there, which there's not even a need for me to go into. But he finally gets, all this time we're thinking about what are we going to do, because there's no guarantees that we're going to get our father hospitalized. Zero guarantees, right? In the meantime, my brother heard that this guy is going to be hospitalized in Sokobanja, which is a city in south of Serbia, around 3-hour drive. We heard that and we were like, okay, it might be that there are other options other than Belgrade for getting hospitalized. So that was something, but still, the infectologist, she told us, if you don't get him hospitalized, it was a real option. Like it could have easily have happened. If you don't get him hospitalized, I'll give you the treatment to do it at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would have to treat him at home, the
Yeah.
infusions and everything. And we were constantly like going back and forth. Should we or should we not just grab him and take him home? We were constantly like, and it's stress, he's not feeling well. He can't breathe well. It's super hard. Finally, he gets admitted. And by the way, we came with all the results that they would ever need to make any sort of a decision. But they have like an in-house rule. They need to do all the tests, period. Like we have like a 7 hours old lung chest x-ray. They did another one. That's like, it's ridiculous. It's stupid as hell, but okay. Fortunately for us, they allowed my brother to get in with him, because my father at this point, he can't speak. It's hard for him to speak, to coherently create sentences, and he hustles his way in, and they ask us, can you get him to Sokobanja? Can you drive him to Sokobanja? And we said yes. We're packing ourselves. I didn't even go home because I was alone. Nobody could prepare any stuff, any of my clothes or anything for me, and it would take us a lot of time if we have to wait for me. So my brother's wife, she prepared a bag for him. We just grabbed the bag and bam. Yeah. It was 2 a.m. at that point. It was 2 a.m. and we were driving, and probably around 50 to 60% of that road was utterly thick fog. So it was the worst possible.
I remember.
Super tired, super stressed. Night, 2 a.m. starting this drive. I was scared shitless. I was scared shitless. And like you're waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel. You're waiting for something that you can grab onto and hold on to, because that, let me just finish this and it's going to be okay. Let me just do this, is going to be okay. Let me just overcome this, is going to be okay. And that's how it was from the very beginning, from the very first time he got this symptom. Let's take this antibiotic. Let's go to this examination. Let's get to this test. And you're constantly waiting for something to happen, and it never does. So at that point, so on that Thursday night, it was the 14th day of him having a fever. It was a torture. And we're driving. Okay.
Can I interject briefly? You asked me if I knew anyone that could maybe find a place for him in the hospital. And, I know my family knows some influential people, and I started asking around. And they couldn't find anything. This is, nothing. And I literally asked my mother, but how come we can't find a single bed? And she said, well, everybody's saving that ace up their sleeve for one of their closest loved ones, and if the situation wasn't as dire, there would be no issue, but this is how things have to go.
Yeah,
And
this is the time where you can't. There's no money that's gonna buy you this.
yeah.
That's
Like,
that. When you ponder that, then you understand.
yeah, Serbia is not a rich country, especially when it comes to Western standards, So when you have an issue that money can't fix, that means that nothing can fix it, literally, except God, literally.
Yeah, you know the comment that we got, like we pulled everybody we know.
Yeah.
You know what the comment was?
What?
Unless your last name is Vucic.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, our next light at the end of the tunnel, our next straw, our next success, our next finally was getting to Sokobanya. And we get there. And honestly, by a bit of a miracle, because I typed in the wrong hospital. No, because they don't tell you. They just said Sokobanya. You don't even know. You're Googling for it. Yeah, I'll get to that. And we're driving, and it takes us to a mountain road. And I'm like, this is deja vu, because I already had this problem with Sokobanya before. So it takes you to a road which is like you die on that. Literally, how bad the road is. And I was like, but as we were going there, we passed what looked like a hotel, and we're like, okay, we'll go back there and ask. And I park there, and my brother goes out, and he goes back, and he's like, this is the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we go back a bit, and we find like the emergency entrance. We drive to the emergency entrance, get my dad. What awaited us there is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So let me explain this. This is an entire hospital, size of a hotel. It's huge. In one shift, they have 4 nurses and 2 doctors. And they take care of all the patients, plus they're the ones doing the admission. When we came, there were already around, I think, 7 or 9 people waiting to be admitted. And they told us they don't have medication. They don't have any sort of indication that they were supposed to admit all these people. And they don't even have the documents that they are necessary for them to actually admit somebody. They don't have documents to write patients' names on. Understand what I'm saying?
Guys,
there was no waiting room.
Doctors are modern day martyrs today. Literally martyrs.
Honestly, man, based on how they treated us, I judged them a lot. I judged them so much. Only after analyzing everything, I was like, I shouldn't have judged them. I shouldn't have judged them. Because in this scenario, everybody's just in panic. Everybody's like in a very bad mode. Like there's nothing you can do. Like when I realized what happened, somebody flipped the switch overnight and told them, starting now, you're in the COVID system. And Belgrade started sending vehicle after vehicle with patients, just bombarding them with patients. In about 48 hours, they accepted more than 170 patients.
In how long?
48 hours. After my father was admitted, that's 5 hours after we came to the hospital, they admitted another 70. Before my father was admitted, they already had accepted more than 50 during that night, the night shift that we encountered.
So that's like 6 people doing all of that.
Yes. Like we entered, they are saying that they are nervous or exhausted is a huge understatement. They are not communicating. They are lost. We are looking at this. My brother and I are looking at each other, and he, like I see tears in his eyes, and he asked me, where did we just drive our father to? Where did we just take our father to? What did we just do? Dude, they didn't even have documents to admit patients. Did I tell you that there was no sitting room? We put a blanket on the floor so that my father can sit down.
Yeah, no.
And an ambulance vehicle drove this elderly man, surely over 80. I will never forget his name, Radeta Yanko. They just dumped his hospital bed, mobile hospital bed, inside with a bunch of plastic bags and no documentation. He can't speak. He can't move. He can move his hands, so he's boxing the wooden wall next to him just to get somebody's attention, and somehow he's barely saying help. Literally, help. I'm like, nobody's paying attention to him. When we walked in, 2 people were sitting on his bed, completely ignoring him. It's literally like, okay, this guy here is dying, so nobody can help him, so bam, done, ignore. B, 3 times. 3 times I've called the nurse or doctor or whoever. I don't even know, because they're all in like
they don't even know where they are.
I don't even know who's who, because they're all wearing suits, like,
yeah, you can't even recognize them.
It's like Among Us, literally, like, but everybody's the same color.
Yeah, and you need to find a nurse or a doctor, and
yeah, and 3 times I've asked. The first time I've asked, they just came there and like just looked at it. Like, but let me she would go to the other end of the hospital, and she would just poke him to see if he's still breathing, and that's it. On one of the occasions where I walked in, I was like, can you please do anything, something, just please, like, just pay attention to him. And she told me, there's nothing I can do. Somebody just dumped him here, and there's nothing I can do. We called somebody to dump him in Anish, which is another city. And there's a plastic bag. The bag has a lot of things in it, including toilet paper and adult diapers and
what?
Adult diapers and
Yeah.
Somebody packed this for him. A family member. Somebody sent his or her grandfather or father. Somebody put him in the system, and an ambulance car drove him there and dumped him even without his papers. And there was nothing I could do. And I made myself, I was like, I need to do something. Like, because of Christ, I need to do something. So I walked in, I'm like, how can I help you? How can I, what do you need? And he tries to tell me, but I don't understand. He's saying something which resembles either hunger or head. And I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. And I tell him, like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Do you want me to, cover you with the blanket? Do you need something? And then I understand that he wants me to call the nurse, which I do. All they do is take like one of those bags that were packed for him, just put him below his head. On another time, they just moved him on the other side of the bed so he doesn't fall. One sec. Somebody's doing something. And I don't know what that is. So somebody's like, they turned on like the vacuum cleaner or something very loud, and I think it's passing through the radiators. B, he's dying, and nobody's attending to him, and he's asking for help. That lasted all the 7 hours that I was there. Throughout all the 7 hours that I was there, during those 7 hours, I've prevented myself from trying to help the guy at least 15 times. I've tried to help the guy at least 5 times, and there was nothing I can do. I covered him. I covered him with the blanket, for example, a bit better, but that was it. And we were looking at that. My father was looking at that, and we were just sinking. We were sinking, like we were looking at where the hell did we get our father to? Like, what did we do? At some point, I take the device that you use to measure somebody's body temperature, so that I can measure his body temperature. I took it. I didn't even ask anybody. There's nobody freaking there to ask. And a nurse or a doctor, I think she's a nurse, walks in and she's like, "Why are you touching? Why are you doing that? Who told you to do that?" And I was like, "I just wanted to measure his temperature. Like, what is wrong with you?" She's like, "Everybody out." At that point, we took everybody into the room where they are doing the admission, because that was the only place where you can actually sit down. You understand? I asked for a chair. They told me to, buzz off. Now, and she was like, "Everybody out." She even wanted people to go outside in the cold. And I was like, "Sorry, we took them in because there's nowhere to sit down. They will stay here." She was like, "Okay." You don't understand. You don't understand at that point how things were. Okay.
Yeah.
Now my brother and I are constantly like weighing left and right. Should we drive him back home? Should we just leave this and try to treat him at home like this? We don't even, like, we're losing hope. We're losing everything at this point. And we ask our father, and he's like, "Whatever you decide, do it. I put myself in your hands." He's powerless. He can't even think straight.
Everybody's powerless. Everybody, literally, everybody's
Can you
powerless.
try to understand the level of weight of responsibility that is from that point on, that is on our. He told us that previous time where we were waiting to if we should get him home or try to get him hospitalized in the first place. That was the same answer. At one point, like, I go back and forth, and all this time I'm trying, like, not to cry, not to show any sort of hopelessness in my eyes or something. Like, whenever I'm talking to my dad, I'm always like, we're fighting, we'll do our best, whatever the circumstances are. On the other end, inside, I'm literally
screaming and running in circles.
And at some point, as I was walking back and forth between, getting some air, trying to find a nurse, speaking to my brother, speaking of, talking to somebody over the phone, he shows me this. Like, let's go. Let's get the hell out of there. And I speak to my brother. We organize things. I go back to the car to heat the car up. We heat the car up, and we grab our father and we put him in the car. We get the blanket around him and everything. And all I'm waiting is for my brother to get out, like from the admittance hallway, and we're going back. Like like let me tell you this. Like I don't even know how I was able to drive there. I could have fallen asleep 5 times. We stopped a couple of times just so that I can go out and like face the cold because it was like minus something, and it was like the cold was so it would wake me up. It was yeah, it was so sobering, and I would like hit myself a bit so that I can just stay awake, especially in the circumstances. By the time that this happened, it was already daylight. It was already morning, So I was like, okay, I'll manage to drive. It's at least it's not the night, Like the adrenaline has started pumping very, very hard. At the last moment, my brother literally turns back and he's like something down the lines of, shame on you. What kind of an institution is this? Like something I don't even remember, to be honest with you. And in the meantime, the night shift, which we didn't know, they accepted. At that point, they were already processed like more than 50 people who were thrown at them without any, previous agreement. And the shift changes. And this new lady doctor, she was like, no, please, calm down. And he was like, I know every detail from every single examination he had. You could admit him in 5 freaking minutes if you just listened. She was like, okay, we'll listen. And he goes, that was, in my opinion, the biggest miracle ever, because we were going. And in that moment, the second shift is coming. In that very, like, we're going, it's done. The car is heated. Like I'm there. Like I'm already, asking God for a safe passage. And we get him in. And he gets admitted by them listening to my brother giving them information.
And when you turned, the doctor disappeared.
Now we're off. We are buying medications for him because the hospital doesn't have medications.
Yeah.
We bought the medications for him. We bring him the medications and whatever else he needed. Some food, some water and whatnot. And we go to find somewhere to sleep. We didn't sleep. It took us the entire remainder of the day of calling everybody we know to try to find somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody in that hospital so that he can get some treatment, because he was just lying there. Everybody was ignoring him. Of course, we didn't know that they were admitting another 70 people and that they didn't have the time to give him the treatment. We didn't know that. We were like, why are they doing this? Now, it was like around 10 p.m., I think, where we just we fell asleep out of exhaustion. In the meantime, we didn't even eat for a lot of time. Like I've eaten like breakfast on Thursday. That's all I had. I even forgot that the Great Lent has started. Like I didn't even have a sense of anything. Like everything just was lost on me.
Yeah.
And it was already like 10 hours after he was admitted, and he still didn't get any therapy. And he was getting worse and worse, couldn't breathe well. He didn't sleep the entire night. He couldn't sleep, even though we We tried to get him to sleep in the car, and he was like, he spent the night, he spent 15 hours trying to get admitted to the hospital. He gets admitted to the hospital, spends another 10 hours not getting any treatment. We even found, like, a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. And we somehow find somebody to tell them, like, in the midst of all that shitstorm that has hit them, somebody like instructs a nurse to get him like the treatment and the infusion of antibiotics. And she gives it to his roommate. Makes a mistake. At that point, now just to give you context, my late mother passed away before I was 1 year old. I was, I think, 17 days before I would turn 1. I grew up with my father. My father is the best person I've ever met. And I met a lot of Christians, just so that we're clear. I love my father. He's everything. He was everything to me before I started my own family. He was everything to me. And my father tells us over the phone, this is the end. I'm going to die here. Please try to get me out of here so that I can die at home. We called and called and begged. Like, I begged them in tears. Please, can you give him treatment? They will hang up on me. We get information by calling guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah.
We get info that he's gonna get the treatment after lunch. He doesn't get treatment after lunch. And it's when I told you there's the next thing. You're in such a bad mode. You're always like, you're just waiting for the next thing to happen, because the next thing is everything to you at that point. You're just trying to get him hospitalized. Then you're trying to get to Sokol, and you're trying to get him hospitalized. You're trying to get him to get treatment. And we end up with and all this time we're trying to tell them, please fight. We're grinding on the other. We are doing everything we can. We are here. We didn't go home. Like, we will do everything for you. Mm-hmm. Please fight for us. Please fight for your grandkids. Terrible. All the while we are choking in tears, but like, we're completely done. We're done. Because there's effectively there's nothing we can do other than go in and kidnap him from the hospital, which is a jail time sort of violation. It is
true, but I believe so. But also, I don't think that anyone would particularly mind that hospital like that. They were like, oh, free bed. So
now, the last information we have, everybody's going to get treatment. Now, at that point, we don't understand that they are not, there's nobody who's capable of giving him treatment because they're all busy.
Yeah.
And, it's like, it's not treatment, it's triage. So when it's triage, you have to attend to the patients that are the most endangered first.
Yeah.
He was not one of those patients. Okay, but he has lost the psychological battle. You understand? Mm-hmm. When psychologically, you can't lose that battle if you're gonna recuperate. He lost that battle completely, and he also had another issue with his nose because he was constantly putting the sea salt in it, and he couldn't breathe. Like his nostrils were so dry, he just couldn't breathe. Like, it was awful. And imagine that state after not sleeping all that, and you can't get a nurse to notice you. Nothing. The last piece of info we got was the explanation, what kind of a shit storm they're handling, and that he will get treatment eventually. We fell asleep from exhaustion. We were waking up in the morning, calling him immediately. And thank God he got treatment sometimes after midnight. And we're like, and he responded good immediately. He responded immediately to that treatment.
Thank God.
All this time, I have an army of people praying. Like you wouldn't really know. I've called everybody. And he changes the "I'm gonna die here" to "I need to fight and recuperate and get the hell out of here."
You remind me of that widow who's pestering a judge to take up her food, and he's like, "Fine."
We worked that day to get all the necessary stuff to him. We worked the next day to organize somebody to get him newspapers and water and some yogurt or something to him every day.
Yeah.
We bought him a book. We wrote
Which book?
something. I don't remember. It's one of the classics. We wrote a very heartwarming message.
What's it called? What's it called from Moliere? The delusional patient.
Trust me, if you saw what we saw, and if you were sick at that point in his shoes,
oh, I would have given up way before him.
That's what you would have. That's what you would have experienced.
I know.
But things started. Things started. His fever went down. He didn't get fever since that moment on at all. And day by day, he seems to be getting better. Thank God, he seems to be getting better.
Thank God.
We set everything up. Now, in the meantime, people are getting sick. The prayer list is growing bigger and bigger. A great friend of mine, Nevenka, who I met in the church choir, and she always just liked me from the beginning. She was always like, you looked at me as I was her own child. She was always like that to me. I don't even understand why. And I always kind of looked at her like, and I just, when you connect with somebody, and it's not even like, you don't even have to have the conversation. And oh man, she was there for me. Her mother is an old lady, 85 years old, in a nursery home. Nursery home, is that how it's called, right?
Nursing home.
Nursing home, thank you. Nursery before kids.
Yeah.
And COVID got into the virus got into the nursing home. Her mother is sick in a very bad situation. And in the midst of all of that, she found 5 different people from that hospital. I don't even know how,
Yeah.
She's like when you don't have anybody, when you don't have what to do, like, and you get your own personal angel, literally. She went through all of that with me, She went through all with us. She went through all of that with us. When I sent her a message in the morning that my dad got therapy and she was well, she told me she has never felt happier. and thanked me. Imagine she thanked me for starting her day with such good news.
Ah,
And anyways, we are back in Belgrade, my brother and I. And 7 days after not seeing my family, I have to continue not seeing them because we are quarantined now. We have been in the epicenter of the disease for about 15 hours straight
mhm.
without any sleep. So we are a liability to be around. Even though I've obviously went through the virus because of you, um, that doesn't mean I'm still immune to it.
But you're welcome.
Yeah. But
Somebody,
we
God
did
sends
one
his
test today.
angel to cough in your face.
We did a test today. The 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 most actual one, the newest one, where
Yeah.
they take a sample from the nose and do an antigen. It's called an antigen test.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody said it was, and we were both negative.
Thank God. Thank
We
God.
are both negative. It's not, as far as the test goes, that means there's a 20% chance that we will still develop symptoms and that we actually are. Because you know
Yeah,
what happens
still,
is they're taking a sample from this area, right? And sometimes
mm,
the virus just is no longer present there. It just
yeah, yeah.
goes goes deeper and whatever. But we feel good other than what we think is like stress related consequences, and basically us tripping that am I breathing right, is my pulse okay. um, so we are actually quarantining in my house. This is my bedroom. Probably I've never recorded from the bedroom. I don't think I have.
Mm,
My brother is in the living room, and we are also taking care of my father's um, well, life companion. I don't
mm.
even know whatever. She's also COVID positive, has high fever. Uh, Fortunately, low, mild symptoms.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your sharing your miraculous story. Um, I have been in a topsy-turvy situation myself, though nowhere as close as what you've gone through. My brother-in-law got positive, so he came to us because I am supposedly immune, so we would take care of him, even though he has rather mild symptoms. And my father went to my sister's home so he could help her with the babies. And at least for him, that is a dream come true. He loves his granddaughter so much.
There's now two of them, right?
Yeah, yeah. So now it's like a trip to Disneyland with him. However, today the daughter of the woman who my mother was her maid of honor during her wedding. Her daughter, who was like, I don't know, maybe 5 years my junior, she got hospitalized, and that was purely
Mina
by
or,
accident.
or Mima.
Mina.
Okay.
Yeah, she my brother-in-law went to have his lungs scanned, and I can't remember why she and her husband went along, but they found pneumonia in both of them, and with her it was relatively severe, and she had to be hospitalized immediately. So we are still checking out to see how things are developing. I don't think that the situation is still that grim because, as I said, they didn't notice anything until she actually got scanned, But I have had an acquaintance called Milan. I knew him over Facebook, him and his best friend. Uh, and we would, I think we met some time ago on some meme page, and we would occasionally exchange memes and funny stuff. And suddenly his best friend shares a Facebook story, and there's a guy with a oxygen mask, and Milan wore these glasses by which I knew him. He was very recognizable due to those glasses. So when he shared that story of a guy without glasses and with a mask, I didn't recognize it was Milan. And suddenly there's the next story. Why did you have to leave? I was supposed to be your best man or something or other. And I'm like, and I sent him a message. Hey, how are you? I saw that some of you, how I saw that one of your friends had died. And then some of their another mutual friend shares something with, like, he died. He was 26. And that's the horrible thing with COVID. It's not deadly enough for people in general to feel how dangerous it is, but it is so contagious that even that 1% of mortality among younger populations is bound to kill anyone. I know. I think 2 people killed by it. Essentially, both of these were acquaintances. Again, I can't really call them friends.
Yeah, but
But
also our late patriarch Irene, our late metropolitan Amphilochia.
How many bishops died? Milutin, Patriarch
Valjevo.
Irenaeus, Amphilochius, Artemius. Did somebody else die? No, 4 bishops. Is it 4 bishops? And again, as I said, I don't know the data about the priests. The priest in my chapel was positive. He got better, thank God. But guys, please take care. I know that.
I really have yet to ponder on all of these events and actually try to find some sort of a meaning and lesson. And the truth is, we're extremely fragile, and it takes us a really not much to push us into a very bad state. And I'm not just talking about like a physical state, I'm also talking like a human state. And I've seen people treated very badly. People who've been, the worst thing when you are helpless. The worst thing is when you depend on others 100%. There's nothing you can do for yourself, and you get mistreated. It's a sort of thing that hurts heaven. Like the level of hurt that I've felt for people seeing them being mistreated. I already decided like I made a huge decision in my life. Honestly, people, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to realize it, but I'm gonna do my very best to be kind to everybody, because I just don't want to be a part. I just don't want to mistreat people. It's you don't really know what you're doing. You don't really know whom and how you're hurting them. And look, even if it's the last thing, I'm gonna work on this. Like I'm not an easy person. I burst. I don't have patience at all. I don't, I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna change that. Because I don't want people to feel mistreated by me. Like I'm not allowing that. I can't have this happen.
You know what I quote often?
Yeah.
That slogan from our national TV. It isn't a hard thing to be nice.
That's not one you should quote. you should only quote late patriarch Paul.
Yeah.
And he, like, the
It,
entire the
it's that difficult to translate into English, though.
well, be human.
Yeah. Okay. See, you can outdo my translations.
I can't. But
I mean,
our
on
patriarch
occasion.
Paul used to say, be human, in so many different contexts, and almost the entire um, scriptures are contained within this one word, because you know who gave us the perfect human. You know who's the perfect human.
Jesus
And
Christ.
thank you, B. I was gonna leave that hanging.
No, I always go for the lowest hanging fruit.
And he would always say, be human, you know. God will help if there's anybody to be helped, if there's a human to be helped, you know. And being a human is being Christ-like.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, in these very challenging things, it shows how actually hard that is, and how much we lack being people in this entire world, being kind to each other, being understanding, helping each other. You know, there's so much that could have been done better. But I know that in Serbia, in Belgrade, with the kind of people we are, with the kind of government and people in power that we have, I know that you can do better. You really can't. But when you're a part of that, you're still unique. You have your own personality. You're still yourself, and you can
Yeah.
do differently. You
Yeah.
can be human. I know that's possible, because in the middle of this outburst of pain, of fear, panic, and mistreatment that I've witnessed, I've
And
also
evil.
witnessed,
And evil.
yes, and evil. I've also witnessed small moments of pure humanity. You know, this is strange to me. You know, while we were in the first triage center, I see this guy walking in. He's masked. I don't really, you know, I can't see much, like, in terms of how he looks like. A tall person, and he's pushing a wheelchair, and in that wheelchair is, I'm guessing, his grandmother. Um, Now I noticed, like, the grandmother is like, looks like, how should I put it? Almost royal. Like, she's a lady. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
she's in her, home coat, you know,
Yeah.
like almost a pajama, but you can see that she's a lady.
Yeah.
And the guy pushing the wheelchair, I can see in his eyes, like, I don't know how, I can't explain it, but I'm like, this is an honest, good person. That's all I can think. But in the midst of everything that's happening, I kind of see him shining, and that's it. End of story. But then at some he speaks to me, because he walked in. Suddenly he speaks to me. He's like, "Excuse me, like, how long are you waiting here?" And I'm like, "Well, it's been already like 4 hours or something." He's like, "Yeah, I just wanted to get a point of reference." Like, thank you. And that was it. That was our conversation. But later on, he was like, um, he stopped when he heard what we were, you know, trying to. He stopped us and said, "Just so that you know, there is a big chance that they won't accept you in the Sokobanya
Yeah.
hospital, and you need to be prepared for that." Like, somebody selfishly, just worrying about you, just caring.
Yeah,
That's what being human means. That's what being human is
absolutely.
all about. You know, um, and if you can't have compassion, you will never be kind,
Yeah.
and you can't have compassion if you don't love people.
I have to share story from a friend of mine because his granny had diabetes and she had those how do you call them, lesions or ulcers
Mm.
on her feet. And from what I could tell, it was some nurse's job for her to help her bandage the wounds and so on. However, before his granny died, I think that he took on the responsibility of uh, changing those bandages and everything, even though he's really not the type, to go get into that grimy stuff. And I was like, well, it's nice of him that, and soon after he started doing that, his granny died. But I was like, it was nice of him that he tried to, he was at least there for her. It was really nice of him. So yeah,
I gotta be honest with you.
yeah.
If I wasn't completely preoccupied with getting my father to admitted and treated, I don't know. I think I might have just held that guy's hand,
Hmm.
because he had nobody to fight for him. And then, honestly, I think I will never ever forget this. I haven't I haven't told you everything
Yeah, I can imagine.
because my entire being is already fighting to just overcome all of that and just leave it behind, water under the bridge,
Yeah.
because it's been terrible.
Hmm.
But I've seen people who care in the midst of all that. I've seen people who care, and to me, I honestly, in my mind, I remember as if they were glowing. Their eyes were just different. They would look at me with honest, and you could see that they were gonna do something. They were ready to do something. You know, imagine that doctor looking my brother in his eyes and telling him, "No, don't take him home. Leave him here. We'll take care of him."
uh,
Imagine that one sentence that like
the whole world.
changes history. Oh,
Do you remember that episode when we talked about real life miracles and so on? And I had that experience when praying the Acatis to Saint Nectarius, and how I said that, even though that definitely did not happen at that time, in my memory, I practically remember everything being in this golden hue, like everything being completely radiant. So I definitely can see how you remember those people, even though at the time you're simply lost and don't know where you are. But now, when you take, when
I
you,
felt it. I felt it. Then I felt it. But now when I'm going back to it in my memory, they're glowing.
mm,
They're glowing. It's different. Um, you know what I'd like this episode to be? I like this episode to be an answer to a couple of questions. Is this thing real?
yes,
It is. Should you should you make sure that you're safe and that people you love are safe? Yes.
yes.
Does that mean wearing masks, doing social distancing, not doing celebrations. It means whatever is necessary.
Yes.
It means whatever is necessary. That's what it means. I have met people who don't believe that the virus is real. I've met people who don't care. I've met people who are fanatically keeping themselves safe from the virus. And then you have me, for example. I was like very cautious. I was mostly because of others. And ironically, my father never got it from me or you. He,
Which
he,
is
he,
a miracle
he
in itself.
opened the door. He opened the door for you, but he gets it from his doctor who operates on him.
But if he got it from me, maybe my stain would have killed him. So maybe it's for the best that he didn't get it from me. But yeah, and sometimes in the episode you asked, I wonder why this thing is happening, and I think that you have implicitly given an answer, because at the time it was like this. Who's the true sinner and who's the true saint really shines forth in these, especially in these extreme circumstances. In the everyday business, it is difficult to see. You practically have no idea. But when we are into situations of epidemics, of pestilence, of war, of famine, then you know. Then you practically know. I can't stop thinking of the guy who was asking for help and that grandchild of that lady. Like, how many people are simply left there by their loved ones.
Especially when I go back and think about all these medical workers who are thrown in the pit,
In the maelstrom.
and we should pray for everybody who is suffering because of this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Which now is not the time to think about if the virus was created in a lab, if there is a conspiracy theory. Now is the time for us to show that we are human.
Yes.
And being human means being like Christ. And what did Christ? Christ told the story about the Good Samaritan who helped the helpless. Look, man, I tried, but there was nothing. Seemingly, there was nothing I could have done. But I still don't think I've tried enough. I was just so preoccupied with my. I don't think I've fulfilled what the scriptures are calling us to do. I don't think I was the good Samaritan. But I don't. When I think about it, it's not like I was in the position to actually do something. I don't really know. Like what could I have done? So I just pray for him. I really, really, really don't think he's gonna make it. After all I've seen, but I will never forget his name, and he will forever be in my prayers.
Yes.
So yeah, I hereby ask everybody who has the heart for it and feels the need for it, pray for everybody who's suffering in this entire ordeal, because a lot of people are, and we just don't see it because we are all self-centered and thinking about the next thing, and not how to look. There's the military medical academy that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
There is a saying, a writing on the main entrance that goes something like this: A healthy man has many desires, but a sick man has only one. And that's it. Like,
Yeah.
of course, the only one desire is to get better. And if you think about it, when you catch a cold and all of that, you immediately kind of detach from a lot of like things that are like pure satisfaction kind of things, and it's like your entire body is trying to get you focused on getting better. And that's why um, getting a disease can be very purifying for us Christians, because it detaches us from the things that are sinful, that make us sin, and we start thinking about the important things that we can't otherwise do, because we are choking in the roots of different satisfactions. Let me break the monotony of this ridiculously sad conversation. Let me see how I can show this to you. 1 second. So my kid, she pooped,
Okay.
and she's taking her mom to change her diaper. Where is it? Yeah, that's about it. Let me see if I can. Yeah, there's the poop. You see, there's the poop.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, we've been sending all kinds of videos from the kids to my dad, and it was like, that's like really working, that's like really working. Guys, if you have a doubt that this is real,
Don't.
if you think you're being lied to, yes, everybody's always lying to you. The entire world is built on lies. This world is a lie. It is. It is.
But
But people dying around you, is that really where you want to go to confirm that this particular thing is not one of them? Or yourself being in a helpless position? Last thing you ever see is a doctor dressed like an alien, or dressed like you're an alien. Is that really what you need, as far as you need to go? We have monasteries closing down because the sisterhoods are ill. Do you want me to show you that as well? Yeah, let me find that.
mention
Let me find that for you.
Monastery of Saint Peter's Kiev. Oh man,
Don't.
that has to be one of the most horrible things I have read in our church recently. Read it. Read it.
I'm sorry. Everything's hectic. Like my Viber right now is like, you wouldn't believe. You know what I've been doing since I got back. I'm calling people and scaring them into being responsible.
And you should. And you should.
And I will continue doing that. Yeah, here it is.
As the epistle to Saint Jude says.
This is on the monastery, and I'm gonna translate. Because of the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus in the well, we call this a home for people who have development issues, in the monastery of Saint Paraskeva, with the blessing of the bishop Ignatius. The monastery is closed for visitors, not forever, but
In
until
foreseeable future.
until further notice. Dated 27th of November, which is Thursday, the day that my little hell started. Our little hell is so much, not just me. And to wrap this up, I'm grateful to God and everybody who was there for us. I can really. It was so hard for me to see this. I've questioned my faith 15 million times during this entire ordeal. And only now when I'm looking at things from after it's all done, only now I can actually see the hand of God arranging
Yeah.
things neatly so that things actually work.
By the way, tell them what the monastery of Saint Paraskiva is doing.
What
Is it
exactly?
is it that monastery near Parachin?
I think that's the one.
Okay. Do you want me to tell them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So
I'll
the
try to find.
sisterhood.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. I'll try to find
So,
a reference.
okay. So the sisterhood of that monastery is taking care of at least 90 kids or even grown-ups who
Yeah,
have
I didn't explain the home for kids with development issues. Not just kids, but also for persons. It's not just children.
yeah, with most severe developmental issues possible. Like I don't even how I can describe those disabilities without how should I put this? Degrading those people. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you
It
know
is
what the
like what, but if this month,
previous announcement. Sorry, previous announcement from the monastery was that they're asking for hands for people to help them
yeah,
take care of these persons because one by one the monastery sisterhood is getting infected by the virus, and they are
yeah.
getting basically they can't do anything. Um, so yeah, sorry about that. And the next announcement is we're closing down, which is I'm trying to find the original news as well.
I can forward it to you. Is that
Ah,
the one you sent me?
yeah, that's the one I sent you, I think.
Uh, I
Yeah,
can forward it to
yeah.
you.
Urgently, monastery of Saint Paraskeva. Yeah. They have over 90 female persons that they're helping. Over 90.
Let me check. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're watching this video, take care of yourselves and take care of your family and take care of your friends by being serious about this. Is it really such a big deal to go to church with a mask? Is it? No, it's not. Okay.
I have to be honest. A lot of people claim online that virus can't enter churches. I have no idea what are they basing this upon. I have no
Send
clue.
them, send them, send them the videos from the funeral of our late patriarch and the funeral of all the bishops that have fallen victim to a disease that is a direct consequence of the virus. Look, it's okay. You get to believe in whatever you want. You get to draw conclusions from whatever sources you wish. But at the end of the day, viruses, there is a biology behind them that you can understand. You need to have a decent context and background, and so that you can understand it. But it's not rocket science. It's understandable. You can learn about it and understand things better. And if you do, you might draw different conclusions. Why wouldn't virus enter church? Because it's the home of God, right? What isn't home of God? Everything is home. Everything is home of God. Everything.
Precise.
It's just a place of worship besides being a home of God. I'm pretty sure that you know that there were people who go into a church with a gun and kill people in a church. God permits that. Why wouldn't God permit a virus to go into the church?
How many Serbs were burnt in their churches during World War II?
They would
Holy
they would put entire families inside the church. They were surrounded with straw and other flammable materials and barrels of whatnot, and they would set it ablaze, and people would die. Okay,
and holy martyrs of Prevlaka were poisoned, like they were monks, were poisoned. Like what?
everything happens because God allows it. So who are you to say what God allows and what God doesn't allow? Who are you? Who says that?
That's not even faith. I will say it openly. It is a superstition, and it is magic.
Or prelist.
Or it's prelist 101. You on what do you base? Some priest said so. What makes you think that you can't get disease in church? What makes you think that?
You know, there are people.
Custodians of my church, of that little chapel, that they lost their child to COVID. Mind you, that child was a walking risk group. He had a lot of lung issues, but still God permitted him to perish. And I have no idea, no clue where are people pulling this nonsense out from. And I'll be quite honest. I believe that this teaching that's spreading across orthowebs is a direct satanic attempt to kill as many Christians as possible. Good Christians, faithful Christians. I'm not saying that they're bad Christians because they have one fringe belief, but sadly that one fringe belief can kill you and kill people around you. And in the end, the Church of God is diminishing and people are losing their loved ones. Stop doing that. Wear a mask, do social distance. Nobody likes, at least us in Serbia, we can go to church. I did not attend the patriarch's funeral, and God knows that I really did want to, but it was a major health hazard.
I don't think masks help a lot, but if they help this tiny bit, it is your duty as a Christian.
Yeah.
It is your duty as a Christian to be the good Samaritan.
I will tell you one thing. All of the people that I have infected, they had a more problematic outcome the closer they were to me. You had it the worst.
Really?
And those, yeah. The three others that I infected while I were at that friend's place, the only one who did not get infected out of us 4 present there was furthest away from me. And the closer they were to me, the worse they got infected. Let that sink in.
Because of the quantity of the virus and the fact that it spreads with
droplets and particulate matter.
I mean, you and I are basically speaking like we are now. It's just that we were real next to each other. But I think when it comes to symptoms, you had it worse.
Yeah, I did have
fever was destroying you for like 7 days or something.
Yeah.
And I was fever with me. It was like 3 days. Even though I didn't treat the fever, I was just like I'll just let it run. Which resulted in the world's biggest headache. And then I had like 3 days or something without smell and taste. That was pretty much it for me.
Yeah. But guys, again, we are not saying this. Believe that it was man-made. Believe that it was done in order to destroy China or was made by China to destroy. Believe what you want. But in the end of the day, how you approach this can kill people. again, I'm not saying murder. I'm not saying that any one of you is going out there and coughing in people's faces. I hope that you don't. But if you do, I really doubt that you will be listening a Christian podcast in the first place. But
This is a Christian podcast. Yes.
it
It's
is.
also it's also an entertainment podcast.
Why not both?
You know, when
Even
we had
though this episode is definitely not entertainment, this is like that one dark episode that all of us have to go through eventually.
you're
So
naming it like an episode of Friends, the one when they talked about dark things.
yeah.
Yeah, B. Let me not forget. Thank you as well for your support and understanding and prayer, especially prayer. Um, trust me, it was worth it.
Every prayer counts.
Yes, it does. I gotta say, I've really went through a lot of things, and I doubted a lot of things, and I feel ashamed now, honestly, for doubting some of them. But you don't really know how weak you are until you're challenged. And I mean, we should try to find a way to challenge ourselves without really going this far to challenge ourselves. And that's what I'm saying. You know, it's like the time, you know, people tell you like drugs are bad, and you're like, you can listen to them and be like, I'll be wise and like I won't try drugs, and be like, let me find out for myself.
No. That's not let you. No. They can't. I'm stronger than that, and then you're not strong.
Yeah, for
It's
example.
that exact same mentality.
Yeah,
That
I have a lot of conversations to have with people because of the way they've been handling this entire crisis. Like for many of them, I think their answer already came. You know, it has been shown to them in a different way. Like I told you, I have friends who are very much against, basically completely ignoring everything about the pandemic, and now they are with pneumonia, so COVID, and receiving treatment. Um, it's gonna get better, but before it gets better, we need to get better. It's not about just surviving this. It's about surviving and being human after surviving.
Yep.
That's the point. That's the point. So let's do that, okay? Let's be human. Let's be human during the entire ordeal. Let's be human 100%. Let's be fair to our neighbor. And thank you for not changing the channel for after the 1.5 hour mark has passed.
Yeah.
And everybody who said a prayer for my father, I know we did ask for it when he was getting the surgery. I thank you so much. How do we end on a like an entertaining, humorous note?
Once there was a bishop, and he was telling a joke to a number of priests in his bishop's palace. So the bishop tells a joke, and all of the priests are like crying from laughter, like tears. But one priest is simply unfazed, like totally like stone faced. So then the bishop tells some anecdote and everybody's like dying, like completely red. And but that one priest is like nothing. So one of the priests was like still having like tears. He's like, "Why are you not laughing?" And the priest says, "I'm not from his diocese." Freeze frame, roll credits.
It's a decent joke.
I tried.
It's like I just don't know if people, for example, from non predominantly Orthodox countries would ever call it a bishop's palace.
They would.
They
I
would.
checked. They would.
Really?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you fact check that? Yeah.
Well, it seems that not only Serbian bishops live in palaces.
What kind of cars do your bishops drive?
Well, I think it was Peter Paul who said something along the lines of like somebody showed them all the fancy cars that the bishops were driving, and he said, "Look, imagine what they would drive if they didn't have the vow of poverty."
Yeah, but he was a super funny. He was a super funny guy. He would be like, they were like traveling via plane, and he would be like, the plane was experiencing like very, very serious tribulations. You know, it was dramatic, and somebody was like, like we're gonna crash. You know, how is it fair? How is it fair that we're gonna crash now, Your Holiness? And he was like, anyway, they were in the above an ocean or something, and he was like, it's fair with all the fish that I've eaten, you know, during fast. Like, it's only fair that fish now eat me. Such a wonderful person.
Oh yeah.
You know, I still hate myself for not attending his funeral. I was in college, and
Well,
I
you
had
can
a car.
attend the funeral of the next. Oh no.
Nope. Missed that one as well.
Well, maybe it is our fate, predetermined from ages past, to miss every patriarch's funeral for different reasons.
Did you miss Patriarch Paul's funeral?
Oh no, maximum recording time reached. Well,
You did.
I did.
You can tell me off camera,
Okay.
so that I can put it on camera.
I can't even remember. I can't
Yeah,
even
but
remember what I
but
missed.
there was something. Almost
I
2
can't
hours.
remember.
Almost 2 hours. Thank you for listening,
And stay safe.
and make sure people around you stay safe,
Yeah.
and pray
Pray
for people suffering. Pray for Serbia to get a good patriarch. When is that happening, though?
I have no idea.
I saw you made a video on how it works in the church.
Did you notice the hanged angel?
Yeah, of course I did. I can already see the comment section. What?
Well, I think only one person noticed it and put it in the comments.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't look at the comments.
Yeah, but the idea is like nobody's happy. The clergy is not happy. The bishop's not happy. Demons are not happy. Angels are not. Nobody's happy. The Lord is not happy.
But when is it happening? When
Why?
are they doing? When are they gonna do it?
Assuming that any of them survives in the next couple of months, which is not looking, which isn't like a certain thing.
I heard that Vladika Joannikije is healthy.
Yeah.
I'd put him as a patriarch, like
Yeah, me too.
Easily.
Yeah, but
if it was up to me, unfortunately,
the Lord may choose a patriarch, and the suffering caused by the patriarch the Lord may deem more, salvific.
No, I'm afraid we'll just get what we deserve, which is not a good page. Look, everything's good.
Yeah.
From a perspective.
Enough shade throwing.
Enough what?
Do you know the expression throwing shade?
A shade throwing. Okay.
Shade, yeah.
Who's throwing
Great
shade?
guy.
Bro?
I don't
I
have
don't.
shade.
I don't understand.
Yes.
Thank you for sticking with us. If you just jumped to the end without listening to the entire thing, I suggest you don't listen to the entire thing, but just keep yourself and your family safe and pray. That's
Yeah.
all. That's
Yeah.
all. Your family and friends, and also coworkers, and everybody whom you might endanger by being irresponsible during this pandemic. And don't judge, because that's bad. Be kind. I know it's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Što nisi išao na sahranu?
Kako?
Što nisi išao na sahranu?
Bukvalno se ne sjećam. I dalje snimaš, kreteno jedan.
Nisam kreten, ti si kreten.
Prekidaj snimanje sad. Tek sam sad vidio. Imbecilo je.